Can do her magic. All right. Hello. My name's Randall Borden, and this is my podcast, and welcome again. Today we have a very interesting guest, Gloria Vanderhorst. She's a PhD, a psychologist, and a writer based in Maryland. She specializes in emotional well-being, relationships, and personal growth. Her work combines clinical psychology with storytelling, helping individuals and couples better understand themselves, navigate emotional challenges, and build healthier connections. Through her private practice, writing, and public conversations, she focuses on real life application, but not abstract theory. She provides tools that people can actually use. Dr. Vanderhorst has also shared her insights through numerous other podcasts, bringing thoughtful, human centered perspectives to topics like co parenting, communication, emotional resilience, and relationship dynamics to make complex psychological concepts accessible and practical. So, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Randall. I'm delighted to be here. Looking forward to a really good conversation.
I guarantee you this will be. I've got many questions. Okay, so I guess so we can start with some definitions. So, co-parenting, obviously, from my point of view, that means when the parents are separated and the children are traveling in between them.
Mhm.
But before that, what does a healthy co-parenting relationship actually look like in reality, whether they're together or separated or something in between?
That's a great question because truthfully, we're co parenting from the time you have a child,
Or
right?
before,
Yeah.
before. Yep,
Well,
yep.
maybe before you're co
Mhm.
parenting each other, but
Right, exactly.
from the moment a child enters your lives, whether it's through birth or
Mhm.
adoption, you're engaged with your partner,
Right.
right? And you have to work together. You have to figure out how to care for this new being. You have to
Hmm.
figure out how to split responsibilities. It's like you've started a whole new corporation,
Right.
right?
But
And
which
you're,
you can't dissolve.
which you can dissolve, right? But then
Um,
eventually, sometimes you do end up dissolving it,
right, right,
the relationship, but not the parenting.
right.
And so you have to figure out what's the role of each person and what are your emotional needs as
Mhm.
well. Because when a child comes into an adult relationship, the emotional needs of the parents tend to get lost.
Hmm.
And that creates a lot of difficulty, a lot of heartache, and can lead to conflict.
Right. But then also they kind of work their way around the and reappear at the most difficult times. And
Right.
then so you've got only to take care of this another human being, but take care of yourself. And then the feedback loop
Right.
of what you do affects the child, and what the child does affects you and how you react. Ugh.
Yeah, it's a mess.
Yep.
But
Well, what are
it can be a happy mess,
the that's
right?
true. That's
It
true.
it can be a really good mess if the two of you are
That's
going to
right.
take the time to process what's happening. One
Hmm.
of the things that tends to happen to parents is that they lose time with each other. And the communication
Hmm.
just focuses on practical things, all right?
Right.
Who's taking the baby to daycare? Who's picking up the bottles? Who's doing
Hmm.
the laundry? All kinds of practical things. And we know that those are not nurturing to
Right. Right.
us. Those
Hmm.
don't feed us emotionally to problem solve practical things. The key when you bring a child into your relationship is to make time for the relationship. That has to be solid.
Yep. Yep. Which usually means pushing the child off for a weekend or something like that. But I guess it really shouldn't. You're a trilogy now, not
Right.
two. So
Yeah,
it.
those times don't have to be long, right?
Mhm.
I say to parents, let's start with 15 to 20 minutes. Surely, right? When you're
Mhm.
home from work and before you go to bed, you can find 15 to 20 minutes
Right.
where the baby is calm and the two of you can sit and talk, not about the practical things of who
Right.
needs to pick up what amount of diapers
Hmm.
the next day, but about each other. What are your hopes? What are your dreams? What are your problems that you're wrestling with? How are you feeling? What do you need from the other person? Talk about yourself, not
Yep.
about the practical problems.
Hmm. Or the practical, write it down on a list and
Right,
then set it aside or put it on the refrigerator.
right. Turn
Yep.
it into text messages and email.
Yeah, and then it's not in your head rattling around and making trouble.
That's right. That's right.
So that's kind of my, at least write it down and then forget all about it. But so what are the mistakes that parents make in a relationship?
I think the clear mistake is they lose contact
Yep.
with each other, right? They do
Hmm.
lose time with each other because a child takes up a ton of time,
Hmm.
right? From infancy forward, your days and hours that you're home are really going to be occupied.
Right.
And particularly when you get that child a little bit older and get them involved in activities, you're going to be in the car
Right.
a lot.
Hmm. Right. Hmm. Or working or sleeping or
Right,
shopping or
right,
the never-ending to-do list. Yep.
right.
Yep.
hmm
And
Just
again, the,
focusing on the basics, and then you lose track of the relationship that brought you together, and it falls
mhm.
apart.
Right, right. I kind of think of it as finding time.
hmm
So you go to Amazon grocery store and set it on automatic refill, and you might get too many celeries one week and not enough the next, but you don't even have to think about it anymore. And
Right.
that's just one less thing, yeah, that you can again find those few minutes and the things just add up. Uh, and pretty soon you got that magic 15 minutes that you can
That's right.
you can
And
devote to
a
it.
couple of things happen, right? You start to anticipate that.
Right.
So, in the course of the day, you look forward to having that time of
Right.
connection,
Hmm.
right? And you kind of sift through what's happening for me emotionally and what
Hmm.
is it that I want to bring to my spouse to share, right?
Yep.
And if it's something that's really troubling, then I'm going to think about, and how do I want to bring this? Right? How do I
Hmm.
deliver this so that I can be heard and get the attention that I need?
Right. And from a guy's point of view, and get the problem solved.
hmm
So
That
that
is
was,
so true.
yep.
That is so true. The woman is much more interested in just talking about the issue and
Hmm.
having feelings heard, but the guy needs a path forward. He
Right.
needs a
Right.
solution. He needs the options of what are we going to do next.
Hmm. Hmm. So why does that happen? Why, I mean, other than just this new human being in your household sucking up your time, I mean, you still have to communicate over that, but then everything else just gets pushed off to the
It
side.
does.
And then pretty soon there's who is this person I'm living with, or
That's right.
then everything
Yeah.
is just to do and driving and scheduling and things like that.
Right. Yeah, it's so easy to get focused on the practical
Mhm.
and lose track of the emotional,
Right,
right?
right.
We are emotional beings, but that part of us can be suppressed
Hmm.
and can be replaced by the practical very easily. So we have to be vigilant about remembering that we're emotional beings
Hmm.
and taking that need seriously, that we need to be emotional and we need to be heard and accepted by our partner. And that takes time. You have to set the time aside. If you don't ritualize it, you
Hmm.
won't end
Yeah,
up doing it.
that's the thing. Yep. Yep, set it down. So what is something you can do immediately to improve communication? I mean, write notes to each other and put those on the refrigerator, or make an appointment, or put the child in with your in-laws for a night, or what?
Well,
All of the
nowadays
above?
we have these smartphones,
Uh,
right? And so the advantage of that is that when something does occur to you, you can put it
mhm.
right in your notes,
Right,
right?
right. Hmm.
Or
Hmm.
you could send it off when it occurs to you and say, hey, this is something I need to talk about, right?
Hmm.
And once your partner is alerted to that, attention will be paid, all right?
Right.
Time will be set aside.
Hmm.
So it's an easy way to make use of your smartphone, and everybody has one of
Yeah,
those in their pocket
right, right. Or but we're out in the hall,
or out in the hall.
so it doesn't make noise and interrupt our podcast. Yeah. So so again, some kind of a message or a note would be the best, chocolates under the pillow or something like that, right? Just thinking about you, even
Well,
if
well,
it's not
see,
written.
now you're talking about something else, all
Mm.
right? Initially, we're just talking about having information exchanges so
Oh,
that I know you and you know me, and we're
mhm.
keeping track
All
of
right,
each other, all right?
all right,
But then when you go into, well, what are my emotional needs? All right, there's now a third person in this
all right.
house. And because
Mhm.
there's a third person in this house, some of my emotional needs are not going to be met.
Mhm.
So I have to raise my consciousness about what those are. And many times that means I need to take time, maybe another 15 minutes to
Mhm.
myself to
All right.
think about, okay, what's happening with me now
Mhm.
that this wonderful baby is here? But the baby means I'm losing parts of myself and they're not getting attention. So I need to figure those out.
Mhm.
That's much easier for a female to do than a male because we do not train males to focus on themselves in terms of emotional needs.
Mhm.
You focus on yourself in terms of success, in terms of work, in terms of responsibility, but not in terms of emotional need. So you might put an
Mhm.
alarm in your phone for 15 minutes to say, I'm just going to use this 15 minutes to do a search of myself and find out what emotional needs are
Mhm.
not getting filled that used to be filled so that I can bring that forward in the relationship.
Yeah, men aren't. Nobody cares.
Yeah, yeah, you guys are not, in fact,
That's
you
right.
are programmed for
Yeah.
the exact opposite
Right.
from the
Right.
time you start walking
Mhm.
around. We're
Mhm.
talking about toddler, right? From the time you are a toddler,
All right.
you are told to deny your normal, natural feeling states.
Yeah.
Boys don't cry,
Yeah.
right? How
Right.
damaging is that? Because that means anything that brings up emotional distress or discomfort for
Yep.
the boy should not be published, should never be talked about, which means you can't even hold on to it and have insight about what's troubling me, what's really
Hmm.
bothering me. So there'll be a secondary layer. All right, so the shoes in the front hall will bother me
Hmm.
when that's not really what my issue is about. My issue is about I would love to be welcomed home, and
Hmm.
nobody does that. All
Right.
right, nobody notices that I've walked in the door and welcomes me. So all the emotional needs get suppressed, and you guys end up focusing on practical needs that don't satisfy. So even if the wife cleans up all the shoes in the front hall,
Hmm.
you're still not satisfied.
Yeah. And there's nothing you can do about it. I mean,
Hmm.
it is what it is, and just
Well,
get used to it because
the,
that's your
the
life.
thing to do about it is to
Hmm.
really be honest with yourself,
Hmm.
right? That you have not been educated to identify your own emotional needs. and then to take that honesty seriously
Hmm.
and begin a path of trying to figure out, well, what are they? I've been trained since I was really little not to really have emotional
Hmm.
needs. So now I have to take a pretty deep dive into understanding what is an emotional need and figuring out which ones
Hmm.
do I have and which ones need attention.
And because you're trained exactly the opposite, that when you show emotional needs, somebody takes
Hmm.
advantage of you. They
Right.
beat you up
That's
at the
right.
playground or
That's right.
steal your lunch money or
That's right.
mhm. Yeah.
Right.
So
And we have all of these sayings, right? Big
mhm.
boys don't cry,
Right, exactly.
right? And if you show any emotion of any kind of tenderness, you get shamed, you get made fun of,
Hmm.
all
Hmm.
right? You get attacked by your peers.
Yeah, yeah, brutally. I mean,
Really?
that's what
Yeah.
happens. That's what that's your life. I mean, I understand what you're
Right.
saying, but I'm skeptical that's ever going to be possible to do anything more than just scratch the surface. But
Well, here's
mhm.
my suggestion, right? Because I still have hope that we can modify that and that we can help boys maintain access to the full range of feelings. And I think one of the ways that we could do that is to require every preschool to have both a male and a female teacher in the classroom.
Oh yeah, yeah. 100%. My son went a few years to an all boys school.
Mm-hmm.
And oh, it was night and day. I mean, it was, and the teachers coming out yelling, "Get that off the table! Have you done your homework?" Yeah, it is another world, and every kid had to be in sports. There's no
Mm-hmm.
choice. So everybody got to burn off the energy,
Some
and
physical activity,
right,
right?
and learn teamwork that way.
Mm-hmm.
Learn performance, individual teamwork, and they were like soccer and team sports. They had theater there. They learned
Right.
all that. It was and reading, writing, arithmetic, math.
All the
Uh,
basics.
yep, yep. So yeah, that was a very good. I wish he'd gone there earlier, but yeah, very good experience for him. And again, a different the kids were good. I mean, they behaved
Hmm.
themselves. They were roughhousing. They yell and run around, but they're boys. And yeah, it was really an eye opener on that. And they all did very well. Graduated, all went to college. It
That's
wasn't like
great.
it was a what's the word, punishment school
Right.
or
Hmm.
things like that. But yeah, that was really good. And Catholic Church, there was the Benedictine uh, uh, monk
Uh-huh.
school down in
Hmm.
DC. So yeah, that was quite an eye opener. Very good school. And I
That's
think
wonderful.
you're right. And there may be some that do okay coeducational, and I'm just kind of guessing it's probably the same for girls, that they might be better off in an all girls environment too, right? I don't know.
Sometimes
Mhm.
that's very true, but
Mhm.
girls have the advantage that we have not told them that they have to cut out certain emotions. We tell
Mhm.
boys
Right.
that are not allowed to
Mhm.
express certain emotions, and we
Right.
train you guys really early about that. But we give girls full range to
Mhm.
any emotion that can be generated by a human being. I'm hoping that there'll be an opportunity in the future for that to change
Mhm.
dramatically.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. For my own, what I've seen myself is that would be gender separated schools would be a way to go, a way to try
Hmm. Hmm.
something like that. And
Hmm.
yeah, it was again night and day with his previous schools. So yeah, that's a great idea. Let's
Yeah,
work on
so
that.
that's a good life experience for your son. I'm glad he had that
Yeah, and he's
opportunity.
still in touch with the people, the boys that he met there, the teachers and
Hmm.
everything. So it's really bonded very well. So the emotions that you don't deal with, how does that show up in everyday life or everyday interactions?
It shows up in the body of a male. If you are not allowed to express feelings, they
Mm,
don't just dissipate on the air, all right? They
mm,
stay inside your body. If you're allowed to express feelings, you're going to be healthier
mm,
and you're going to live longer, all right? That's why women live longer than men
mm,
in general, because men contain their feeling states in their bodies, all right? And that is going to turn into heart trouble,
mm.
stomach trouble,
Right.
intestinal trouble. I
Alcohol,
mean,
drugs. Yep. Mm,
alcohol,
mm.
drugs, when you maintain tension in your body doesn't like that,
Right, right.
right? And there's going to be a physical consequence for that.
Mm. And of course, what they tell you today is supplements, pills.
Yeah, but those are lovely,
Yep.
but it is not going to take away the consequence
Right.
of the shame that we put on men when
Mm.
they have emotions. We don't let men
Yep.
have emotions other than irritated and angry and
Right.
frustrated, but you can't have any of the other tender emotions. And
Mm.
when you do, you either get made fun of, or people get pretty quiet,
Oh yeah.
or
Mm.
you get shamed
Mm-hmm.
for it.
Mm.
And that is absolutely wrong. The culture needs to change the way that we approach boys and give them the full range of feeling experiences.
Yep. Yep. So when again, I think trying for again all my point of view would be an all boys school or more all boys activities. My son was in Boy Scouts also, and
Mm-hmm.
that was real good. And again, you're part of a group, you're out in the woods, you'd better cooperate or you're gonna sleep in the
Right.
mud.
Yeah,
Kind
it gives
Mhm.
much more opportunity for emotional expression, but
Right.
there also needs to be a change in the adult men that are
Mhm.
leading those groups, all right? So there's acceptance for the full range of emotion. If you get left out
Right, right.
of a scouting experience when you're out camping with other boys, you're gonna be sad,
Well, I mean, again,
right?
it was the job of the troop leaders to make sure that that didn't happen. So you were always assigned two to a tent or something like that. So nobody
Mhm.
did get left out, or the one that was falling behind was assigned the one that was the opposite, the most skilled.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, and then of course you got badges, and you're expected to teach the kids underneath, and as you moved up the hierarchy that way. So yeah, it was that's a but
That's a
the other
great structure. Really, very good
but
structure.
nowadays it's just less and less people doing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that
That's true.
the adults don't have time. They don't have the schedule. They don't have the flexibility. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
who can take off 2 weeks to go camping and you know
Right,
southern Canada
right,
or canoeing yeah.
right.
So
The
that's
other thing that's happening is that we don't have time for our children to have what I'm going to call downtime.
mm,
Right?
mm,
We keep our kids so programmed. They're moving from one activity to another activity that
yep,
there's no time for reflection, there's no time to get bored
mm,
and have to problem solve through
right,
that. Yet when you get older, there's gonna be downtime and you're not gonna be prepared for how do I manage myself when I'm not
mm,
100% active and busy. And that shows up in relationships just terribly
mm,
because you're going to expect your spouse to be able to fill that gap,
right.
and you haven't learned how to fill that gap for yourself.
Mm. And then, well, it's easy. You just read your email. You watch something on your phone. You ordered.
Which that addiction can head you in the other direction,
Yeah.
right? I see couples where one or the other of them is so hyper focused on
Hmm.
their phone that they really can't interact with their partner.
Right.
They're so invested in playing a game or watching videos on their
Hmm.
phone that they don't take time to engage their partner, not even to problem solve with
Hmm.
their partner. So the partner ends up feeling abandoned while the other person is feeling very satisfied because they have all this stimulation from the phone.
Right. Right. From that world. And we can get into the lawsuits, are interesting on internet addiction. I
Mm-hmm.
think Facebook's in one right now that they designed the systems to bring in the kids and hold
Mm-hmm.
them there. Internal memos saying that this is we're the drug pushers and this is the drug. uh,
Right.
Measuring how many microseconds you stay online. And again, every second you're on that, you're not in the real world. You're not with
Right.
a human. You're not
Mm-hmm.
with nature. You're not with, I don't know, painting the house. I mean, something useful at least.
Right. Yeah,
And
one of my frustrations is to watch teenagers, right, sitting next to each other, and each one of them is busy on their phone, and then to discover they're talking to each other,
yeah,
right? They
yeah,
are texting each other, they're
right,
sitting right next to each other, and they are missing 90% of communication is nonverbal.
yeah,
It is reading the body of the other person and the facial expression. They're missing all
yeah.
of that by just texting on their phones.
And then the real world comes back with a vengeance.
Mm-hmm.
You can't change a flat tire with your cell phone, no matter how much how many videos you watch, or yeah, I mean, maintaining the house or relationship, uh,
Right,
and responsibility for even a pet. This go through another goldfish this week because you
right.
forgot to feed them. Where's the instruction manual? Um, but
Yeah,
yeah,
and divorce is rampant. There's
mm,
stats that say the divorce rate is coming down. That is not true.
well, they're
I
not
think
getting
that
married in the first place. I mean,
they're not getting married. That's why they don't show
yeah,
up on the stats as a divorce,
right, right.
right? They
Hmm.
they take their household apart, but it doesn't show up on anybody's radar
Yeah.
as a statistic because they never went through the process of getting officially married in the first place.
Hmm. Hmm.
So the divorce rate is still 50% or more, which means we've not done a good job of helping our kids
Hmm.
understand how to develop healthy relationships with each other. And parallel texting is not a way to
Right,
develop
right.
a healthy relationship.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, kind of my theory is when the kids grow up in a divorced household, they're less likely to get married in the
They
first
are.
place and less likely to have kids and
Mm-hmm.
more likely to be isolated because that's
Right.
the way they were raised in a divorced household where both parents had to work, and they'd come home exhausted and
Mm-hmm.
they would just sleep or whatever, and the kids were taking care of themselves or
That's
the
right.
the internet babysitter. And
Well, but
that's
the worst condition in this system of divorce is to have the children move back and forth between two locations.
yeah.
No one would design that as a healthy
Hmm.
way
Oh yeah.
to develop a child.
Hmm.
No one would design that, but we're doing it all the time. All right? We're doing it all
when
the
you
time
when you
and
say
not realizing the consequence. All right? You, as an adult, would you want to pack up every 2 or 3 days and move to a different location? Plant yourself
Mhm.
there for 2 or 3 days and pack up and move to another location? Nobody would choose that as a
And
rational
look,
adult,
it's
but
not only
we put
moving,
our
it's
children through
yeah,
that.
it's you don't have your friends around, you don't have your pet around, your
Right.
familiar environment, your the
Hmm.
stream out back, or
Right.
or the basketball hoop out front, or the
Right.
bicycle, or whatever.
Hmm.
And but um, I'm
I
not
would.
allowed to say things bad about judges. However, it is very easy to say those words. And I mean, when I have these interviews with clients, I can rattle it off. This is going to be your visitation schedule. You
Right.
know, every other weekend and then one day
Hmm.
during the week, alternate holidays, you four holidays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, first
Right.
Christmas, second Christmas, you alternate and rotate 2 weeks in the summer, usually non-consecutive. Your birthday with you, her, and Mother's Day, Father's Day. I can tell what it's going to be, and that's the easy way to do it. I've had a very few couples that did that. It's bird nesting. It's called a bird
Right.
nest,
Yeah. It's called
and
nesting. Hmm.
they had the money for it.
Right.
And a lot of times they were still living in the same house because the friggin' house was so big.
Right.
Mommy gets the west wing and daddy gets the
Yeah.
east.
Right.
Yeah.
Or
And the
right.
kids are just, you know, but it's very rare that that is financially possible, and very rare that the parents are that mature, I guess,
Right. It
to
does
think,
take emotional maturity to see the value of having
"Mm,
security for your children.
right,
So we're paying the consequence, right? Because
mm,
children of divorce are not interested in relationship.
yeah, the
Right?
opposite.
They have
Yeah.
had it
Hmm.
with relationship. They've seen too many fights between their parents or too much silence
Yep. Yep.
between their parents, and so they're very cautious about getting into relationships with the opposite sex
Yeah.
or even getting into friendships, right? They're also more isolated in
Hmm.
terms of their friendships. That's going to have a long-term consequence for the culture as a whole because, as you said, they're not developing relationships, they're not
Right.
getting married, they're not having
Hmm.
children, they're isolating themselves. And a lot of them are living back in a parent's
Oh yeah.
house
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
well. They're not even developing independent
Hmm.
skills.
Hmm. And from the point of view of the parents, I mean, I just like, you're not going to get a fortune in spouse support. You
Hmm.
are definitely not going to get a fortune in child support.
Right,
Have you thought this through? I mean,
right.
where are you going to live?
Hmm.
Central Pennsylvania, I mean, West Virginia, you've only got about 500 a month for rent here, and
Right.
that's not going to be, in Montgomery County or Fairfax County. Have you guys thought about just staying together and building a wall? You know, that
or
way,
or solving this problem,
yeah,
right? It
right.
is possible to build and rebuild a
Mhm.
relationship, right? If you
Right,
were drawn together originally in a
right.
way that has some strength and some health to it,
Mhm.
you can rediscover and rebuild that relationship. But so many people
Right.
are very quick
Mhm.
to end a relationship, and they tend to end it by getting involved with someone else,
Right, right.
right?
We
Rather than
and
trying to
for a few
face the
months,
problem.
right,
Yeah,
for a few months, and then that
right.
person doesn't meet their
Doesn't
standards or fill their
satisfy.
needs.
Right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
By that time, that relationship's
Hmm.
destroyed. Yeah. I mean, I tell people half jokingly, marriage has nothing to do with love. I mean, you might, that's what starts it, but
That's what
what keeps
starts
it
it.
going, yeah, is something more than love. And you're congratulations, you're at that point, and this is your test. And do you want a family? Do you want to stay together? Do you want just financial reasons stay together, emotional, children's reasons stay together? Do you really
Right.
want to pack up all your stuff and move out? And where are you going to move to? Back with my parents. I mean, honestly,
Right. Right. A
moving
lot of
back with the
people do
parents
end up back
and the
in their
kids
parents' basement.
and the kids with the kids.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
um, and I mean the emo. I've had even parent or a parent that doesn't have visitation, lives with the parents. These are the man,
Mm-hmm.
lives
Mm-hmm.
with his family.
Right.
He gets weekend visitation,
Mm-hmm.
dumps the kid there, and goes off and does partying or
Something else
yeah,
himself. Right.
right.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then the grandparent brings the kid back Sunday night without the father. It's just
Right.
like what?
No,
Yeah.
that's pretty
Mhm.
common. It is difficult to maintain a relationship, and by the time that people recognize that they've created this distance, they have this
Yep.
big gulf between them,
Mhm.
they're reticent to try to bridge that gulf and to recreate a new relationship. But it
Right.
is possible, and I have
Mhm.
worked with people who have done that.
Right.
And it can be very satisfying to create a new relationship with this person that you fell in love
Mhm.
with years ago and
Right.
rediscover who you are and who they are.
Well, by the time they get to me, that's not likely. But
No.
when I tell my price, I guess that that might help them.
Even that does not deter them,
Sometimes,
right?
yeah. I mean,
They go into serious debt
mhm,
to
mhm,
go through this process of
yeah,
arguing with each other about, who gets the kitchen chair.
right, right. Or where you pick up or drop off the kid. It's going to be school. No, it's not going to be at school. It's going to be at my house. So he'll take the bus home from school, and he's not going to ride with you in your car that
Mm-hmm.
extra 2 miles. Um, yeah, and again, it turns into a nasty power play.
It does. That's right.
And again,
As human beings, we can get pretty petty.
yep, yep. And like I said, by the time that comes to me, that's what they want. They've kind of got
Hmm.
their list of revenge and sticking points, and yeah. So again,
You
I guess
have you have a very tough job, really, a
mhm,
very tough job, because people are really uncomfortable.
mhm,
Typically, they're either hurt or angry in
right,
the
mhm,
extreme, and there's no way to create comfort and satisfaction for
right,
them, right? Because so
yeah.
many of them end up fighting with each other even after there's a
Mhm.
settlement. It just
Oh,
goes
especially.
on and
Oh, yeah,
on.
yeah, especially after. Yep,
Hmm.
and then it's measuring, how late you are. I'm only going to wait 15 minutes for you. I don't care if you're stuck in traffic.
Right.
You forfeited this weekend, that kind of
Hmm.
thing. And then, of course, the man, constantly late on the payments or
That's right.
playing other games like that. Contesting a medical bill, even though it's necessary and reasonable.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can
Yep.
find all kinds of
Mhm.
things to fight about.
Yep. And I
And
do
then
like.
there are some that I have experienced where the vitriol was so extreme that the father just could not continue, and the children refused to see the father.
Yeah.
So those are heartbreakers. But I have told fathers consistently, right, to write their kids, hold on to
Mhm.
that letter,
Right.
right?
hmm
Maybe you write them once a month, maybe write them once a quarter,
hmm
but your child will come and seek you out
Right.
once they get into adulthood
hmm
because they're part of you. They're interested in finding out about who you are
Yep.
and what happened to them, and they have a perspective now that they can see that the other parent was very manipulative.
hmm
And frequently, I have found those children in adulthood aligning themselves with the father
Oh,
and
yeah.
really appreciating how much the mother undermined their relationship with
hmm
their fathers.
Right. But then 5 or 10 years are gone.
Right,
That no one will
right.
ever be able to. Neither one of them will ever be able to get back.
That's right. It's very
And
painful.
mhm.
But
I
it
don't
can be
know.
very satisfying to see children rebuild relationships with their fathers
Mhm.
that have been basically isolated
Right.
from them.
And it happens to women too. They can get into a spell of mental illness or
That's
something
true.
like that, and then
Mm-hmm.
they're kept in that box,
Mm-hmm.
and well, maybe I'll allow supervised visitation,
Right.
one Saturday a month. But you
Yeah, it's
pay
more
you
typical for the woman to have limited income.
right,
And
right.
then that's what makes the difference between, the kids are at dad's because they get
Mhm.
their needs met and they
Right.
have financial resources, and mother
Mhm.
does not.
Yeah, and even if you go in uh for a custody battle, each, with daddy, each kid has their own bedroom. With
Right,
mommy, she's got an efficiency,
right.
and
They're
can
sleeping in the
barely
living
afford
room.
can barely afford that. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and the judge just looks at the pictures of the house and just like, this is what we
Right.
got. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Best
Yeah,
interest of child.
it's a very, very difficult process. I know people say there's damage to kids decades ago when the parents stayed together for the sake of the children. But I would say to you that those children turned out to be emotionally healthier than the
Yeah.
children that we're
Mhm.
producing today, who moved back and forth between two households for most of
Mhm.
their
Well,
childhood.
there's lots of parts of life that aren't nice, that aren't easy, and
Hmm.
you watch somebody, stick it out or work it out or accommodate to it, and that's what you do. That should be,
Hmm.
the lesson that you learn is you're not always going to get happiness or a good life or whatever. So yeah, that's its own lesson, not just bailing out and ugh. Well, let's see.
Yeah, it's difficult.
Yeah.
It's a difficult process, and we're yet to kind of see, well, where would that lead? All right.
Hmm.
So we now have this generation or two of kids that have grown up under a divorced household system, and we just have to wait and see what's the long-term impact of that.
Well, no, less households. I mean,
Hmm.
less kids.
Less kids, right?
The yeah,
Yeah.
the less and less nuclear families.
Hmm.
More and more of these, living with someone for a while and then moving on, and
Hmm.
mommy's new friend, or that daddy's new girlfriend,
Hmm.
um, for a few months or a few years, and then that ends. Like, relationships are temporary and disposable,
Right.
and don't commit to anything long term, and just there'll always be somebody to take their place, and don't no emotional investment is it's just not worth it.
Right. Yeah, that's a powerful message that we've sent to a generation of children that emotions and connections are dangerous.
Yeah, yeah. Or only so deep, not
Hmm.
don't not too much.
Hmm.
Or maybe only over a cell phone.
Right. Yeah.
Only on Instagram.
All superficial.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right.
Yeah.
Well,
Otherwise, it's
mhm.
too big a risk.
So if someone they want to solve this, I guess the easiest, quickest way would be therapy. But where would they start? I mean, just is there a type of therapist, or is it?
Yeah, there are two very good approaches for couples
Mhm.
to use, right? One of them is actually designed for these types of problems. It's called emotion focused
Mhm.
therapy. And its entire original design was to help couples manage to make a connection with each other, understand the emotional needs of the other, and build a new emotional relationship with
Mhm.
each other rather than separating and divorcing. And
Mhm.
the other system is called internal family systems, which is also excellent. Its original focus is on helping the individual to take a deeper dive into their own emotions and their own emotional structure and learn what parts of their behavior are actually, um, I'm going to say, an invasion
Mhm.
from their history, rather a characteristic of the way that they were structured. And the ability then to discern basically, what behaviors really belong to me and are a part of who I am as a person, and
Mhm.
what have I adopted because of the situations that I've
Right.
been in, and I can let go of those and have a deeper understanding of the strengths that I carry in my
Mhm.
personality. And that system can also be very effective for couples as well. It's both of them are learn more about yourself so that you can
Mhm.
make wise choices about what parts of your character do you really want
Mhm.
to strengthen and employ, and what parts are you willing to let go of.
So the internal family system, that's almost like you're looking at parts of yourself and saying, this came from my mother, this came from my father, this came from my older brother who beat me up all the
Right,
time.
right.
This came from my previous relationship, and
Hmm.
I don't want that anymore.
Right, and
Maybe
there
you
that
do want
doesn't
it. Yeah.
belong to me,
Right,
right?
right.
Even though I've developed an entire behavior
Mhm.
around it, it
Right.
is a behavior that I can let go of because it doesn't
Mhm.
really belong to me. It's not a part of who I want to be.
Right, right. Almost like Daddy always will wax the car, and I'm going to wax the car. We've
Right.
had the greenest lawn in the neighborhood. Let's go buy some more fertilizer. Um, yeah, I mean, you see that in like new people, new adults when they get a house.
Hmm.
They fall back into the behavior patterns of their parents.
That's right.
Uh,
Right.
and
We've all been
mhm.
trained.
All right. They're not all bad, having a big family gathering at Christmas and all the
Hmm.
family recipes, but it's also the family fights and um yeah. And then the first one was emotion focused. Sorry, can you explain that one?
Yes, called emotion focused
Hmm.
therapy. And it was designed to bring out with each person in the couple system
Hmm.
kind of the emotional needs that they have, the emotional habits that they
Right.
have, so you can examine once again, right? Is this something I want to continue
Hmm.
to hold
Hmm.
on to, or can I modify it, or can I let it go, particularly if it's causing harm to you or to your spouse.
Right, right. Or a woman marries somebody just like their father, or the man gets married and the wife ends up nagging him every day because that's what his mother did to
His
his
mother
father.
did too, right?
So
Yeah.
they don't,
Yeah. Kind of
mhm.
unbeknownst to ourselves, we do tend to have an attraction to someone that will let us solve a
Right.
childhood problem,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
But it
Yeah,
doesn't really pan out that we end up solving childhood problems. We just end up creating couple problems.
right. But then hopefully you're aware of it and you can just say, "Well, I see. I don't want to do it that way. You
That's
know,
right.
I'll just do something without getting nagged about it five or
Right.
10 times.
Right.
Do
There
it."
are excellent resources to help
Mhm.
people identify what are the systems that they're bringing into their relationship,
Mhm.
and to help them modify those and let go of the things that really are
Right.
just not working for you and your relationship.
Or damaging it or slowing it
Right.
down or
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
Why don't you just get up off the sofa
Yeah.
and do what you said you were going to do? Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
like it
you
or not, your childhood has a powerful impact
right.
on how you function as an adult. I had a client once, I loved his description. He said when he goes back home to his parents' house, he said, it's like I cross a magic twanger when I step into the yard and I turn into a 12-year-old.
Right, right. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah. Mm.
Our families have a lot of power over how we are shaped
Hmm.
and who we become. And unless we take the time and energy to reflect on that and to really work through what parts are me and
Hmm.
what parts have I adopted from my family, you can't choose to let the one that you've adopted go
Right.
unless you can identify it.
So let me take a stab at this. So let's say you do that, and then it's like, okay, I'm not going to repeat that
Hmm.
or replay, I guess replaying the
Right.
tape. And therefore I'm going to do the not the op the I'm going to do the better
It
choice.
opens up options, right?
Right,
It
right.
really does open up options for you to reflect on, all right, so what are my emotional
Hmm.
needs?
Right, right.
And then I can shape an option that satisfies my emotional needs. But
Hmm.
prior to that, if you're not doing kind of that internal work to look at yourself and to look at your history and how
Right,
your
right.
history has jumped into the present, you're stuck. All
Hmm.
right, you just do these things automatically without even realizing where the history comes from.
Yeah, yeah. And then you just say, okay, I'm going to break in order not to do that, or in order to do what's the useful opposite.
Hmm.
I'm going to do these five things every day. And then
Yes,
you build that into a habit.
right. Hmm.
And then you say, okay, that's good. I've got these five nailed. Now I'm going to do five more or
Hmm.
two more, whatever,
Right.
one more every week or whatever it takes. And then you don't even think about it anymore. It's
That's
just,
right.
all right,
It
well,
becomes
I gotta
automatic.
I do this, and then you boom, 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 you knock it off and get it done 5 or 10 minutes, and now,
Hmm.
it's different. Um,
Yes, we're all capable of
mhm,
change. We can make really dramatic
mhm,
changes when we identify what's the root of that particular behavior that I keep
right.
repeating.
Isn't it interesting that the modern technology, how much it's taken the place of relations in a, now again, you don't appreciate that I go grocery shopping every week. And you're like, okay, I don't appreciate it. And then you just set up a automatic ordering system on Amazon,
Right.
you know, to a guy that's it.
That's right. That
Problem
took care of
solved.
that.
Yeah.
Now nobody has to go grocery
I
shopping.
heard a problem, I solved the problem. Yeah. But if you still want to go grocery shopping, go ahead. But
Right. If it
you got,
satisfies some other need.
yeah, right, right. Yeah, yeah, go hunting or what is it that the women want to the men want to go hunting and the women want to go um, examining everything or something like that. The men go into a grocery store with a target, get the
Right.
milk.
That's right.
Yeah,
And the woman is going to peruse every aisle.
right, got to browse. Yeah, yeah, and they design the grocery stores both ways. Yep, that's actually true. That's why they put the milk in the back, is to force you to when you want that when that's your target, that you have to go through
Right.
the rest of the
You
store
have
to
to
get to
go
it.
past some other things that you
Yeah,
might want to pick up.
exactly right. Yep, yep. So, and that's interesting the
Funny.
way that they can use it against you too. Yeah. So like, your neighbor gets a new car, so you have to get a new car, and your family has to get a new car. And now you've got a $700 a month car payment.
That you
Uh,
can't afford.
right, right. Uh-huh. Because of what? I mean, because when you grew up, your neighbors, somebody was richer than you in school and made fun of you.
Right.
I mean, who knows
That's
if it
right.
could go that far.
Yeah, there are so many things from early childhood history that just jump into the present, and you
Hmm.
don't realize that you're being motivated by
Hmm.
something that happened earlier. That's why therapy can be incredibly enlightening for
Hmm.
people. You get to discover those things that are jumping into the present and basically taking over your decision making.
Let me ask you a question. You may not have encountered it. Using AI to second guess you. I mean, not therapy. I know
Hmm.
that's ridiculous. But to just say, you know, I'm thinking of doing this or making a decision that burning my bridges, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what should I consider? And then the AI might just say, hey, how you gonna pay for the rest of your life if you
Right.
walk out on your family? Have you made a budget?
Mm-hmm.
I notice you live in suburban Maryland, and are you aware that the rents there average $3,200 a month for a two-bedroom?
Right.
Where is that going to? I've noticed that your salary is only 63,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
Where is
You're
this
not
going
going
to,
to be able to afford this.
yeah, you need three roommates in a two-bedroom apartment. Um,
Right.
have you thought this through? Would you like me to make a budget that you can live with? Oh, my conclusion is stay where you are. Um, I mean, I know that's a little bit attenuated, but how you got a house, how much you going to get when you sell the house?
Mm-hmm.
What are your selling expenses? Um, and then what do you do? You got, oh, great, you've got $15,000, but you can't, that's not enough for a down payment
That's right.
and your credit score and your income level. And has anyone benefited from AI in that way? I mean, just double checking or stopping a rash decision.
Well, I think a lot of people are using AI for this very reason,
Hmm.
right? They're putting in the problem that they're wrestling with and asking some particular questions.
Hmm.
And, AI is full of information, it's a
Yeah.
huge database.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it can definitely come back with some pretty healthy suggestions and ideas,
Hmm.
but you still have to test out what is going to fit you. It's like going shopping,
Hmm.
right? And you have access to every piece of clothing known to
Right.
man, styles, sizes, colors,
Hmm.
but you still have to figure out what's going to fit me,
Right.
where am I going to be comfortable? What's going to look good on me?
Yeah.
And what can I sustain moving forward? Right? I want to wear
Right.
this outfit more than once.
Or the opposite. What's going to look, you're not fitting into that bathing suit. You
Right.
know, first first lose 50 pounds.
Right. Don't buy that one.
Right. Maybe this one with a little sundress built in. Yeah, the little tricks of the eye.
That's
I
right.
mean, again, if I'm going to leave my husband, okay, how much the movers, what are you going to take with you? How much is that going to cost to move?
Right.
You have to pay that up front, and then you're going to have to pay first, security deposit, the first month's rent, and where are you going to live? What's the rent in that area? Do a budget. Or you just slam the lid shut on your laptop. You don't want to hear that.
Right.
I mean, that could be very useful if I guess if the people would listen to it. Give me a
But
checklist.
most of the time, someone going into a divorce situation is not doing that from a rational
Right,
perspective.
right.
Was doing that from an emotional perspective. Now, there
Hmm.
are books out there, right,
No,
that
yeah.
people
Hmm.
can tap into about, preparing for your divorce or, how to approach
Hmm.
divorce or what
Hmm.
to think about when you're going through a divorce. But it's difficult to be rational, to be thoughtful when you're emotionally injured or
Right.
anxious. And most people that come to you are emotionally injured or anxious,
Yeah.
and they want to change. All right, they're just
Hmm.
hyper focused on wanting to escape without really examining, well, what am I going into?
Yeah.
Their,
Yeah.
their thinking is, I'll figure it out on the way because this is so
Hmm.
uncomfortable. I have to get out of this relationship, and then
Right.
whatever happens, I'll figure it out on the way.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not rational. It's
Yeah.
highly emotional.
And I know either they're people I've sent clients to that to advise them on their life after divorce.
Hmm.
They're going to live X number of years. how are they going to pay for it? You get
Right.
an annuity, you buy your house and pay off the mortgage. They should at
Hmm.
least have a free and clear place to live, all kinds of stuff like that. But you got to be able to make yourself listen to it and then act on
Right. Right. I love your focus on the
it. Mhm.
practical
Yeah.
because that is so necessary for
Mhm.
anybody who's contemplating going through a divorce. They really
Yeah.
do have to
Mhm.
face the practical.
All right. Maybe just moving out. I mean, again, obviously, if it's domestic violence, that's a
Hmm.
whole other story. I mean, you get out, but it's just I'm bored, I'm tired, I'm whatever, and okay, well, it's $12,000 for a moving company, and
Hmm.
you got to pay them up front. You're not going to do a payment plan with them,
Right. That's
and
right.
you don't go to the new neighborhood and get a job there and then pay them back.
Right.
So what are you going to do once you get to the new neighborhood? And
And you
even
have to have your own health insurance. You have to have
yeah,
your own car insurance. There's so many
hmm
expenses that, so everything doubles.
yeah, yeah. And have you thought about this? Have you thought, oh, I'm going to get spouse support? Well,
Hmm.
maybe it'll be a year before the judge awards you spouse
Right.
support,
And maybe
and
it won't be what you expected.
or it'll be a limited time period, or
Hmm.
and this is what you're going to get on child support, and
And your
um,
children will grow up.
in that neighborhood, yeah. And do you want to live in that neighborhood?
Hmm.
Are you
It's
really that
complicated.
are you really that bored with your spouse? How bored are you with your spouse? Um, yeah, yeah. So,
Well,
I mean,
repair is possible, right? Repair is possible.
yeah, yeah. And like I say, build a wall down the center of your house. Have your that's your commute. Um, so what is it that people should avoid when they go into a relationship? That to avoid, I guess, what replaying the patterns, or replaying the tape.
Actually, you can't avoid that. That's the whole problem.
Mhm.
All right, relationships get established on the basis of falling in love with somebody.
Right. Okay.
Right? We don't marry people for practical reasons very
Right.
often,
hmm
right?
hmm
Most of the time, it is because my emotion takes over
Right.
and I'm not then thinking practical. And the reason that
hmm
our species survives is that emotion does take
Right.
over.
Mhm.
If we were thinking practical, probably many of us would not get married,
Right. Right.
and that would harm the species in the long run.
hmm
So, you're in this situation where you're just emotionally swept along and you don't then see some of the characteristics of the person that you've fallen in love with that
hmm
might be undermining the relationship in the long run. So, it's inevitable that we're going to continue to fall in love with each other, all right? And nowadays, you're going to move in together, not get legally married, but you're
Right.
going to establish a relationship that is just like a legally married
hmm
relationship. And the next task, right, is really to treat that relationship in a way that you are learning how to build a relationship,
hmm
because that blossom, that bloom of being fascinated with the other person, you
hmm
can't sustain that. That
Right. Right.
won't be around forever. So you have
hmm
to be willing to learn, how do I build a healthy relationship with this person that I did fall in love with
hmm
and believed that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. And it is possible to build those relationships. We just have to be serious about
Right.
doing it.
But if you married the person for something you to fill your need,
Hmm.
and now that's over with, or you sort of the scales have fallen from your eyes,
Hmm.
then what do you do? Stay there, change it, accept it? You know,
I think you have to confront it, right? You have to be able to
mm,
talk about it, problem solve together, get help outside
yeah,
of the relationship so that you can figure out, can we actually build something that we didn't anticipate needing to build?
right.
And many times people can build healthy
Mm,
relationships and have functioning relationships that satisfy both of them. But you have to be willing to be transparent about what your need
mhm.
is, right? You can't just kind of sit back and think, okay, so this isn't ideal, but I won't do anything about it. You have to do something about it.
Right, right. But I mean, put it in perspective. I mean, is it that important that what end of the toothpaste, you squeeze out of, or the toilet
Right,
seat down, or
right.
something like that.
Hmm.
And is that important to you? I mean, is it a relationship breaker? Is it
Right,
something you can get used to? Is it something you can change? I mean,
right.
I mean, see, just squash the toothpaste up to the end like you want it to be. You just that's something you're gonna have to do every day. You
That's
know,
right.
adapt to the situation that way. And like I said, just order in a refill, or take your car in yourself and get it fixed because he's never going to do it. Uh,
Hmm.
but then is it then of course then you have kids and then almost you have to stay, right? That's pretty much the
Well,
uh,
one would
mhm,
hope that you engage in repair and building a healthy relationship. It
mhm.
isn't just repair, it's actually building a
Right, right.
healthy relationship, both for your benefit, for your spouse's benefit,
Mhm.
and for the benefit of your children.
Right. So I guess whatever running it by an outside party, right? Whether it's a therapist,
Mm-hmm.
a preacher,
Mm-hmm.
your barber, and hopefully they'll tell
Yeah,
you,
get help. Get
yeah,
help.
you're
Mm-hmm.
just you're full of it. That's not
Mm-hmm.
something that, in the big scheme of things, you're not even going to remember it in 5 years as something that
Mm-hmm.
bothered you, or
Right.
yeah, I think that's it. I think you ought to get out of the relationship. There's no coming back from that.
Yeah, and sometimes that is
Mhm.
important. Sometimes
Yeah.
you really do have to do that.
And
Randall, I need to keep track of time.
all right, good. I know we're over an hour. I got you. All
Hmm.
right, well, very good. I appreciate it. And
You're welcome.
Dr. Gloria Vanderhorst, the telehealth psychologist in Maryland, D.C., licensed in telehealth as a psychologist, and offers online therapy, providing compassionate, evidence-based mental health. So please contact her. And again, the starting point is an outside opinion to help you examine your own life. Is that a fair summation?
That would be a very fair summation. Thank you.
Okay, very
Hmm.
good. I'll end it at that. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.